And we're live. Gentlemen, welcome back. Alex, Jay, it feels like forever.
It's been forever.
It's been so long.
I know.
Absence
makes the heart grow fonder.
Something's growing fonder, that's for sure. And I don't know if it's my heart. Okay.
Maybe it's abstinence makes the heart grow fonder. I don't know.
Well, I would know about that. Yeah.
I've been married for a long time, so you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's good.
How's everybody doing? Alex, you've been away the longest. How's things, man? For those tuning in.
Man, good. Just a lot of work stuff. Was finishing up with work stuff, and then honestly, the last 2 weeks, I don't know. I kind of lost track. The last couple of weeks, I had concerts I was going to. Last week, I was at
Heart and Cheap Trick, right?
Yeah, that was great.
How was that?
So good. And you know what? I think Ann Wilson still sounds fucking great.
Absolutely.
It's like I get it. People fall into this category of like, if they don't sound like they did back in 1976, I don't want it. And it's like,
we said before we went live that Vaginal was going to be the first person to comment. And there they are.
And we called that comment.
We called it.
Sorry, I'm late.
Welcome, Vaginal. And we said you were going to say, sorry, I'm late. You're the first, so don't be sorry. So she sounded great, eh?
I think she sounded great. I mean, she's 73.
I know.
Whoa.
And I'll be honest with you too. I mean, Rob, you'll appreciate this because this is a Rob comment here. Nancy can still get it, dude. She could totally get it, man.
It's awesome.
She's still looking good. She's 70, but she got a little pink and red in her hair.
FVA, welcome, sir. Looking forward to maybe meeting him. He's coming to Toronto for the potential.
Who's all going, do you think? Well,
so obviously Ben Rankins is coming from Australia. FVA is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Low Noise Jason Skills is going to be there. Brian from Embryonic Robot, he's coordinating the whole thing. So going to try and rope a few other locals in.
I think Glenn would drive in, right?
I got to reach out to Glenn and see if he can make it. Yeah. Yeah. So exciting stuff. How was Cheap Trick? Were they good?
Oh, they're great. Yeah. I mean, they're still great. I mean, again, just talk about, an aging legacy band that just still puts on such a good show. I think,
Bunny's not drumming anymore, is he?
No, he's not. So, Rick Nielsen's son.
Rick Nielsen's son, yeah.
Yeah. And then Robin Zander's son is playing kind of a little bit of, backup, rhythm guitar, some backing vocals. I mean, to me, Robin still sounds great. I always thought Robin was just one of the best, like most unsung, like frontmen in rock and roll, like his whole outfit, his get up, his style, the style of music, all that stuff. And he's still out there in his white get up with the top hat and everything. And just,
I just love that band because they're crazy. And Rick Nielsen is just insane.
And he's like 75 now.
No kidding, eh? Yeah.
And so, I mean, they're still killing it. And
I saw them 20 years ago and they blew me away.
It's so funny. I saw them. I was having this conversation with my brother because that was only my second time seeing Cheap Trick. The first time I saw them was back in 2007-ish. And they were opening for Def Leppard at the time. And it was so funny because I remember going with my dad, him taking us, I was like making my dad, drive me all across the freaking country to go to see Def Leppard. And he was like, are these bands still like around? Like, you know what I mean? Like he was sitting there like Cheap Trick. What the, like, what is this? And I'm sitting there and I was like, this was almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
We're talking pushing 20 years ago.
And they're still going.
And we thought that they were at their end of their career then.
Yeah.
Like that's insane, right?
Yeah.
Like Jason, we were talking about, I feel like you and I were talking about that. We were talking about like, Pearl Jam of like,
hey, Trevor.
You grew up with these bands and they're still going strong.
Yeah.
What's up, Trevor?
And you met up with Gary too, didn't you? At some point over your last couple of weeks.
Yeah, on last Friday, I met up with Gary and Steve at All the World's a Stage.
Right, yeah, Steve was there too. That's right.
Yeah, so Gary and I had met before. We attended a concert before, but this was the first time meeting Steve. So, yeah,
nice.
It's like they're all
That's
people.
awesome.
It's weird.
Oh,
I just have to meet Rob and Jason.
Look. There he is.
Hey,
on, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, we have the band back together.
Your makeup done there, Sam?
It's a good one, Alex.
Because you still look like shit.
No.
Welcome.
Look at it. I was just saying, he's the prettiest face on this panel.
That's not my face. Yeah. Good to see you, Sam.
Yeah, good to see you, fellas, I suppose.
I was just talking about we're getting the band back together, and Sam's like the reluctant guy that's, I need it for the money, I guess.
That's called Pete Townsend on every tour that the Who's done since the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
But
how you doing, Sam? What's new and exciting? Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a year older and a few dollars more short.
You don't look like a day over 23.
Well, cheers. Doing good to an extent. Got some health things that I'm trying to straighten out, but we won't talk about that.
Jason Skills, how you doing, my man?
Yep.
Sorry I missed your birthday, Sam. I had the stomach flu from hell. Like I was violently ill for like 5 days. I couldn't even get out of bed. It was just absolutely wicked. So I felt bad I missed Sam's birthday. So and more importantly, I missed my weekly upload day by 1 day. So I'll tell you how sick I was.
The world continued without it.
Well, you got to keep that algorithm happy, right? So Jason, what have you been up to in the many months since we were all together?
You
fight any forest fires recently, or?
I just just that time of year for outside stuff. So I've been going strong any chance the weather holds. I am out in the yard doing things, and then work is busy, and yeah.
Is it hot as balls up there?
Today it's freaking beautiful. Today it's probably like 20, 25 degrees
it's like
and
20,
sunny as hell. But I think the weather's going to shit tomorrow again. So whatever.
It's 28 here today, so it's
is
pretty
it?
warm.
Oh man.
I don't know what that is for my American friends. I think that's like
80,
high 80s or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hot.
We topped out at 90 the last couple of days here. That's Fahrenheit, but yeah.
We got a nice weekend, and it's going to rain on Monday, so it's all good. You had a good 2-4 weekend, Jason?
Yeah, it was like just trying to get as much done as possible. A little late on the gardening this year and all that, but yeah, it was productive. But it was busy.
The wife and I were sick in bed the whole weekend.
Oh, she was sick too.
She had it worse than I did. So it's like park the kid in front of the TV for 3 days. We had no choice because I couldn't even get out of bed. It was wicked.
Oh.
The 2-4 weekend for our American friends. That's the May 24th weekend in Canada. It's actually the birthday of Queen Victoria. So we call it the 2-4 because it's like a case of beer. That's what we call a case of beer is a 2-4. So.
Yeah, and now the Americans have their weekend coming up, right?
Yeah, yours next weekend, isn't it? Memorial Day or something?
Yeah, this coming week, Monday is Memorial Day.
And what is it the memorial of?
It is to those killed in military. So
we call that Remembrance Day, and we have it in November.
So we have Veterans Day later, which is not to the fallen soldiers, just veterans of the military, generally speaking.
Gotcha.
People get really bent out of shape about these. They get real particular. They're like, that is not Veterans Day. That is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what it is. It's a day off. No, I'll probably get scolded for that. Be like, Alex is anti.
You're gonna lose half your subscribers over that because
you know what the joke is. I'll be like, hell yeah, I'm anti-military. What we need one for? Shit.
Dang.
Wow.
How about we feed the poor people? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut. Sorry, Rob. Don't want to talk about politics.
Whatever.
What's the topic tonight, Rob?
The topic is, as you can see in the ticker, getting the band back together. Not only is that a metaphor for the four of us finally being back together, but we also, and by we, I mean, I think Alex, came up with the idea that we were going to talk about bands that we would like to see get back together.
Yeah, and I'll expand on this because the millions of people watching, they get upset about some of these things sometimes.
Sure.
And it is this idea of even in like the most ridiculous far out scenario, is it feasible that these people could get back together? And if basically they're not dead, then it's feasible.
I mean,
So-
we're not talking about let's get the Beatles back together because that's not
right.
can't
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Right.
so there's this element of like it has to be possible,
right.
even if it's so unlikely. It just
Right.
has to be possible.
Right.
And then B, the other side of it was, even if they're not bands that we want to see get back together, maybe, maybe they are just some people that we would like to see play together again.
Sure.
Right. So, you know, we keep it open here sometimes. And I think this is one of those times because I got a couple of different interpretations of that. So
I wish that YouTube wasn't so strict on the copyright stuff because every time someone in this discussion tonight would suggest a band, I'd like to play a sound clip that says, "We are never ever getting back together." You know what I'm talking about, Alex? Like that
right.
that sound clip would just be ideal, but
Yeah.
I don't think Miss Swift is going to let me do that. So
That's
Yeah.
okay.
just think that in your head, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our topic for the night. Do we want to jump into it or do we want to talk about other random crap?
What kind of random crap you got?
I don't know.
Recent
And I will-
finds.
I
Recent
will
pickups.
warn everyone in the comments, like I did last week, do not ask me about baseball. No baseball.
Where's Dan? Dan, how about those Canucks? Shit.
Evening
Hey,
music
Mr.
sanctuary.
Sanctuary, he's happy. He's the Edmonton fan.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Sanch.
Richard, do we want a Styx reunion with Dennis DeYoung though?
Now, so this is a great point, Richard. I mean, this came up in my thoughts. The challenge here is that they did reunite back in the early '90s, and it was awful. It was the worst. It was terrible. And then they're like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. So, I mean, there are no incorrect answers unless these people are like dead. But I mean, he theoretically is still very much alive, and so are they. But you know, that's funny. They did reunite, and it was pretty bad. So,
All right. We're going to go around the horn, and I am going to go first.
heck yeah.
Again, I never go first. And I'm going to talk about a band that nobody knows. Jason might know them. But I want to talk about them because here's the funny thing. Before I say who they are. They are a band I've mentioned before on my channel. They're a Toronto band that I absolutely love. They're known across Canada. And they have not put out an album in 10 years, 12 years, something like that. They've played a few sporadic shows. And I have wanted forever for these guys to get back together. I know two of the guys in the band, and I've said, man, I'd love if you guys got back together. And we planned this topic, 2 days ago, Alex? I think Monday we sort of settled on this.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, this band that I love that has not recorded an album in 10 or 12 years announced this morning that they're
Oh, no way.
reuniting and the new album is done. I'm like, are you shitting me?
The new album is done.
Done.
So
I
they've been
pre-ordered
What
it
is
today.
this? What is it?
Do you know Cuff the Duke?
Wow.
Right?
So is it the original?
Well, it's the
Which guys?
lineup. So they had several lineup changes, but it's the lineup that did the last three albums.
Oh, okay.
So it's Wayne and AJ and Tom.
Who was the main guy that left after the first album? He was
Totally drawn a blank.
He's a guitar player. What was he?
Yeah, the original guitar player left, but this has
yeah.
been the lineup that recorded probably the
Forever,
last
yeah.
half of their albums actually.
Holy crap, man!
Yeah. So
That's
anyway,
cool.
Sam, this is a Toronto band called Cuff the Duke. They remind me a lot of the Avett Brothers.
Okay.
So you might like these guys. They have about 6 albums or so. This was the last one, which was called Union, 2012. So 12 years ago is when they put out their last album.
Did they say when the new release is coming out to stream? or
Yeah,
anything,
it's
or-
coming out September the
Oh,
6th, I think, and you can pre-order the vinyl today,
what you did?
which I did, signed. And the nice thing is they're putting it out on their own label, which is great. They're self-releasing it. So I love these guys. They're a great folk rock kind of outfit. And they've done nationwide tours and they're kind of proteges of several other Canadian bands, the Rodeo among them. Talented guys. Wayne, who's the founder of the group and the principal songwriter and lead singer, he is also the Canadian one of the Canadian managers for the National. Aaron Dessner and his brother. So he's been busy doing the management thing, and some of the other guys have their own side bands or whatever. I've wanted these guys to get back together forever. Yes.
Sorry, I spaced out there, Rob. What'd you say about Aaron Dessner?
So Wayne, who's the singer-songwriter of the band, he works on the management team in Canada for the National.
Gotcha. All right. Wow.
So, when Aaron won his Grammy, Wayne was one of the people he thanked in his acceptance speech.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So I've wanted these guys to get back together forever because I just absolutely love their sort of alt country kind of. Also, if you kind of like sort of Uncle Tupelo, it's kind of in that vein too. So it's just crazy that, you know, they've played maybe 5 shows over the last 10 years. And they've been hinting at something on social media, sign up for our mailing list. And that's all they've said. And then today they dropped, the album is done. It's coming out in September. And you can pre-order it off their SoundCloud page, which is awesome. So I am thrilled. The band that I have wanted to get back to, I wish they'd never broken up. But 12 years later, Cuff the Duke's putting out a new album. Thrilled.
12 years, man. 12 years. That provides a lot of good hope for almost any band to get back together, right?
Man, and like they've always been on good terms. They've just been, you know, Wayne became a dad and then was working on the management side, and AJ was has his own business and had a couple side bands, and I don't know what some of the other guys were doing, and they just got busy doing other things, and it just found their way back together. And they never broke up. It's just everyone got busy doing their own thing. So absolutely thrilled. I texted Wayne earlier today. It's, man, I love the new single. I said, love the new single. Thrilled that you guys are back together. So I know it's a band no one gives a shit about, but you might want to check them out, Sam. Cuff the Duke. I think you'd dig it. Definitely.
That's awesome. That's good shit.
Yeah. Who's next?
Go ahead, Alex. Go around the horn here.
Yeah, sure. I'll go. So
I should have made myself big. I'll make you big. That sounds wrong.
you don't need to try very hard, Rob.
Woo, there he is.
So this is one of these, and maybe this will be a theme for the night, right? Of like, well, I'm sure it'll be a theme. Yeah, you know, you have maybe a legacy band that's been around for a while, but they've been broken up for a while, and they have maybe 2 main songwriters that just can't seem to get along. And it's like, bruh, y'all are like 80 now. Like, is this really still a problem? Get it together, people. And so, again, that could be any number of people that may or may not come up. But the band I'm going to talk about is, one of them is still touring. I think he still does some solo shows. But the other one, I think he's pretty much out of the public spotlight, doesn't do a whole lot. But I am talking about Supertramp.
Ooh, good one.
Roger Hodgson is still out doing solo shows, and I think he's still obviously pimping out a lot of the Supertramp stuff. Rick Davies, though, I mean, that to me was always what was really cool about Supertramp as a band, is you had these 2 kind of front men who both sang but had completely opposite voices. You had Roger with this very like helium, you know, breath, like, and you know.
Let's hear that again. Come on.
And then you had Rick Davies, who, you know, has this like raspy, bluesy, like,
it was early morning yesterday,
but they both played piano.
Who needs a Supertramp reunion when you got Sam and Alex?
And so it was like they're both singers, but completely different. But they're also both piano players in the, you know what I mean? Like, it was a very weird sort of makeup in that way. But you know, obviously after, you know, some issues started happening after Breakfast in America, and then Famous Last Words, or, you know, and then someone left, and they had Brother Where You Bound and some other stuff. But, you know, they've been apart for a while, but both of them are still alive. That's why I'm like, both of y'all are still alive. Like, do something. Like I know, again, there's some issues going on there, and there's probably some health issues. I didn't, look into that all too much, but again, I know Roger's still out there. I think he's doing some tours every once in a while. But for me, man, it'd be great to see Roger and Rick pull it back together and do those different things. Yeah, I mean, I love all these albums. I just pulled this one because it's got Fool's Overture on it, which is just an amazing song and kind of what became Roger Hodgson's sort of magnum opus in that sense. But yeah, I would love to see those two guys get back. That would just be the coolest thing. And I keep thinking about this too, of like, imagine if these people like went on tour. Like, just go on tour. You don't gotta make a damn album. Get your
That's right.
buses, spend 2 hours together a night, fuck around, no one cares, pay the money, it's gonna be a good time. So yeah, that's my first pick.
Love it.
Right.
Love it.
That's a good point, though. Like, you don't have to release an album. Like, you're a legacy act band. There is going to be a fan base. You don't need to release anything to get more people in. And odds are, you release something, you're not going to attract the new fans.
Right. And the worst thing a band like Supertramp could do would be Rick and Roger get together, record an album of slop, and then half their 2-hour show is dedicated to their new album when they got backlog of catalog that people want to hear.
Yeah.
There's a pill for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I digest.
Digest. Nice.
Hey, Sam, who wants to go next?
All right, Jason.
He's got his mouth full. I'll go next.
Let's make them
Okay.
big.
Now, this is one of those acts that the amount of personnel changes is kind of confusing. So I don't know the names of who is still technically alive. I know that the number one guy is alive, and I know that there's a few that are still around. But I am kind of late to the back catalog of this band, but their number one hit that everyone kind of knows is like one of my top 5 favorite songs of all time, though it was a cover for them. But nonetheless, I would like to see Eric Burdon come back and tour as the Animals. Now, maybe they've done this before. I don't know where he's at with this kind of a thing, but I also know that he's kind of I've heard rumors that he's a bit of a dick to be around and to work with, but I would like to see a legacy act at this level, like late 60s English invasion blues, rhythm and blues type of stuff. And the first band that came to mind when we talked about this was something with Eric Burdon in it. But
Fuck it. Have him do a double set and bring War out with him too.
that was my other option. I don't have a War album to show, but like, my God, that guy, like, talk about a powerful lead frontman and a singer, right? Like, an amazing voice. Just, I can't get enough of I have this and I have like a greatest hits album. And when I put this on for the first time, when I brought it home, there was a ton of songs on this I didn't know because I just knew they're big hits, right? And I was like, Jesus Christ, why did I wait this long to dive deeper into the Animals? But anyway, so I'm a big fan of that style of music. I want to see Eric Burdon do something. I don't know where his voice is at right now. Like, a lot of good, who was it? Maybe it was one of you guys or someone else in the VC was talking about just like someone's vocals, and they're still there. They're still there. Like, some of them still have the vocal range they used to. I'm sure there's a lot that don't, but and that's not even the point, right? You go to see them to say you saw them, and you don't go there with the expectation that you're watching them in a time capsule, right? Obviously, they've aged and all that. Nonetheless, I think Eric would be a hell of a presence on the stage to see again.
Yeah, he still consistently tours.
Does he?
I thought he did, yeah.
His voice. I mean, it's dropped a couple of tones, but it's actually kind of Tom Jonesy now. Like, it's a little bit richer. I mean, and he's kind of one of these guys that he does, different arrangements, and he still does, like Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood and the Animal songs, so he's still out there, but he doesn't. I don't think he tours as the Animals, but. Me.
That's awesome.
I mean, there were a few bands like that I could have mentioned. Like, one of them, like you were talking about the Animals, and I was just thinking like it'd be so cool if like the Hollies got back together again, because you have 4 of those 5 guys. They're still touring as the Hollies with what's his name? The lead guitarist and then the drummer are touring as the Hollies. But Alan Clark, who had to retire in the early 2000s for some vocal things, he's come back and done some albums. And obviously Graham Nash is still around.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh man,
but, to see those 4 guys. But anyway, I don't have enough of a passion about the Hollies to get into that. But before this, I was watching. I saw that it was on Prime for just a few more days. It was that latest Paul Simon documentary, and DCM mentioned it earlier. But these guys, obviously, thanks for making me big, Rob. I feel special. I'm kidding.
Are you feeling small, Sam?
As small as Yeah, what's so cool about
Not the size of the stick that matters. It's how far.
but obviously, I mean, there was a thing. They were touring together in 2010. It was the last time that they really sang together. And Art had some vocal cord issues that he had to have some surgery on. And they never really filled those dates back up. And then Art had the surgery, had a slow process to get back together. Art has lost some of his range, which is to be expected when he was singing that very high, sweet tenor kind of.
That's okay. Drop it a key and keep going, right?
Which Paul Simon does anyway. But yeah, to see these guys, I mean, this is their last album. Again, we don't need another album of Simon and Garfunkel.
Are they on good terms, or are they kind of?
Nah, it's hairy. I mean, they both talked about each other in interviews recently. I mean, and they talk fondly about their time, but they've never. I mean, they broke up before their first album even came out.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were ever, the greatest of pals. But yeah, just to see this happen. I know I have a friend who saw them in New Orleans when they were on their 2004 tour. The Everly Brothers came out and did like 5 songs with them, and then they all sang "Bye Bye Love" together. And then that Simon and Garfunkel left the stage. The Everlys did like a few. They didn't even open; they were just there, and they did that for every show. The Everlys just toured with them. I think it was a way for them to give Everly Brothers a little bit of money. But I mean, they were filling out Madison Square Garden, so they would be awesome to see again. I know Simon is not really touring anymore. I saw his last tour. He's got some hearing issues, but even if they just did, like the old days, like Simon on guitar and Garfunkel on the vocals with nothing else, even if it's just a benefit, a 30-minute set, that would be awesome. So Simon and Garfunkel, easy pick, but I would love to see it.
It's an interesting thing to think that, whatever their differences are, and this could be extrapolated to probably every band and artist we're going to talk about here, but to think that a strong, huge, devoted, crazy, passionate fan base isn't enough for two guys to just kind of say, all right, you know what, I was a dick, I was drunk, I did this or that, or I was too demanding in the studio. Like, it's so weird to think that, not that it should, but I would have thought that, you got millions of people, please get back together and tour. And they're like, no.
That's the story of another band that I'm probably going to bring up and Sam's probably going to bring up. So,
okay.
One Direction. Yeah,
that's absolutely it. A couple other things here. Skid Row with Sebastian Bach. Is that not the rumor going around that might happen? Did I read that right?
Trevor will be able to say more, but I think this has been one of those weird things where Sebastian has been like, I'm in, let's fucking do it.
I thought I heard something in the last week or so about
and
that.
I think him and I think the guitarist's name is Snake Zabo or something super cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. From what I understand, but yeah, I mean that'd
be good. Let's see here. Music Sanctuary talking about your Supertramp. It was an old guy set in his ways. With Davis and Hodgson was a young free spirit. Clash of the Titans. Supertramp will never get together. The egos are too big.
Yeah, there is like a 6 or 7 year difference with those guys.
Yeah.
Really.
I think egos is going to be something that stops a lot of these potential reunions from happening.
Yeah. Well, Simon and Garfunkel are a prime example.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And but to me, I'm like, you know what feeds egos is fucking money. But it's like, but I mean, most of these people don't got to worry. Like Paul Simon's not worried about money.
No,
he'll be all right.
But there's a lot of bands that have. I mean, one that immediately pops in my head. I remember reading, and I don't remember what the exorbitant amount of money was, but back in the early to mid 80s, ABBA was offered some insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was $50 million or whatever the heck it was.
Yep.
It was an amount of money that no band had ever been offered that amount of money. And they went, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's.
Or you know what that means? That means they already got a lot of money.
Well, yeah. But I mean, shit. you can have a lot and more still better, isn't it? Right? I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
It's like pizza. Even if you have a lot, even more is still better.
I like pizza.
Who doesn't, right? Even if you got more than you can eat, you can
How
have it
about
tomorrow for
you
breakfast.
go to a place where you make your own pie,
I did that today, actually.
When is it a pizza, Sam?
but it goes into the oven.
Here's another one. REM. I mean, that's never going to happen.
No, but they broke up on good terms.
True.
Yeah, they said they didn't want to be a legacy act.
Is that how that went down, eh?
Yeah, they did an album in
That's kind of cool. I like that.
2011 because obviously Bill Berry, the drummer, he had health issues in the 90s or early 2000s, like a brain aneurysm, and he was
something like that.
he's like, I don't want to die on stage.
Yeah.
So they're all still alive, all four of them. They just continue without Bill Berry for a few albums, and they said, yeah, we don't need to be old men on stage. So they were in their early 50s when they finished, and
well, there's something to be said for that too. That there are bands that I don't say don't want to tarnish their legacy, because there are some bands out there still doing it, and you go, guys, hang it up.
Yeah.
You know? Music Sanctuary has proved my point. ABBA was offered $100 million to perform one concert, and that was $100 million in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, what that would be in today's money, I think that was like 80, 125, something like that. I mean, shit. Yeah. Richard saw the Last Kiss reunion. Doesn't need to happen again.
Yeah, and I just watched the Kiss documentary on TV from a couple of years ago, and yeah, it doesn't need to happen.
Are they still the hottest band in the world?
You wanted the best. We're gonna lip sync the best. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, round 2. Right? I think I'm fairly
Deuce.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, where am I going to go next? Oh boy, so many choices. I'm going to go here. Why not? Let's go here. These are not in order of preference by any means, but I would really love to see the original lineup of the Bengals get back together.
Oh,
Don't need to record anything. I want to see them tour. This is the last album of the original lineup. I shouldn't say the original lineup. That's wrong. The original lineup, the bass player was Annette Zelinskis. She left and was replaced by Michael Steele. And then they recorded their albums that became famous. Michael Steele left after this album, which was their reunion album from like 2003. They recorded an album without her. Now the original bass player, Annette Zelinskis, is back with them. The Bengals played, I think, 3 shows in like the last 8 years. So they're not together, but they're not broken up. They're all on good terms. Obviously, I got to make myself big here. Hold on. I'm talking.
You're going to talk about Susanna Hoffs. It'll do it for you.
I'm going to get myself big. Absolutely.
Right.
We all know that she's my fantasy wife. And I would love to see the Bengals. But they were just such a great, pop rock band. And, Michael Steele, by all accounts, the bass player, she is kind of not reclusive, but damn near wants nothing to do with the music industry by all accounts. I don't think she's given an interview in a decade or whatever, but they don't need to do anything new. I'd just like to see the original lineup put on a show. Hell, I'd even see I just want to see Susanna Hoffs, let's be honest, but I'm a big Bengals fan, so the lineup from their prime would be awesome to see, in my opinion.
Now, Rob, I saw Debbie Peterson.
You did.
Not so long ago.
You did.
Now, short story for you here. We were in a very small, we're a pretty small club, but we were right on the stage. Like there was no, barrier between like the people on the stage. So, like,
and you didn't try and get me a drumstick after the show?
I was like leaning on that thing. Like I was able to like talk to the band. Like, I mean, it was a little bit crazy. And so at some point during one of this, I had been drinking, but at some point during in between one of the songs, I dropped like I love you, Debbie, like one of those kind of situations. And of course, like, she heard me, looked right at me. After the show, she came right up to me, grabbed my hand, and Emma, 8 Vinyl Low Emma, was right next to me. And she also tried to grab her hand, and she like just blew her off and walked away. And so like, she totally, right, Jason, that's what she did. And so it was like, I totally locked hands with her. It was like fucking dream come true. And then Emma was left just high and dry. So And if she's watching right now, she'll hate me for bringing this up again, but it's true. I was there. I witnessed the whole thing. And so
You did like daps on daps. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, definitely with Deborah. So, yeah. She loved me, man. I mean, and I'm like,
And you didn't get me a drumstick.
Look, I don't think they were throwing too many out.
Those were in my freezer.
I think they were saying, sir.
Wow, Sam for the
They
win.
got smaller. Okay. Yeah. So
You could have stole one, man. Like you could have
yeah.
been like, listen, Deb, I know we're good friends now, but my pal Rob up in Toronto is the biggest Bengals fan, and it would mean the world to him if he could have a drumstick. And she would have been like, sure, here you go.
Sure. Yeah. She loves Canadian Robs.
Of course. Damn. Anyway, yes, Richard S. I just want to drool over the Bengals. Absolutely. I also think they're fun. Good, fun 80s music. Nothing sophisticated about it. It's fun. Music Sanctuary, +1 to see the Bengals. Absolutely. All right. Who's next on our agenda here? I don't remember who's next. Alex?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Where do I go here?
Where do we go?
Well, okay, this will be kind of more of a less of a band reunion because I mean they totally can't, but more of a highlight specifically on one musician from the band who this was always like a fascinating story when these things happen. Kind of what you were referring to, Rob, of this was one of the biggest bands in the world. Their singer, who was obviously one of the greatest frontmen and singers in the entire world, died tragically in the early 90s. And everybody's like, what are we going to do? And over the last 30 years, Roger Taylor and Brian May have made sort of something out of Queen, which I love. But John Deacon has been nowhere to be found.
John
Deacon
right.
is their bass player and one of their main songwriters. I mean, I'm
Yes.
showing this because he wrote You're My Best Friend, which is
Yep.
such a great song. Another one, Bites the Dust, is Deacon. He co-wrote Under Pressure. And so, it wasn't like he was just some slouch, But after Freddie died, he said, he's like, we're done.
I'm
I
done.
can't do this. Like, I'm out. And he came back and did a handful of, one-off sort of reunion fundraiser type things. But other than that, he has completely disappeared and could become a complete recluse. And now apparently, his role is purely business financial. They say that he has obviously some management oversight over the finances of the band, but he has fallen completely out of the public eye. He wasn't even at their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, which was which was over 20 years ago. It's not like it was just last year and he's feeling old. I mean, he didn't go to that. He has not been at anything, and both him and the rest of the band have repeatedly said, like, no, like, there's just no, like, I have no interest in this. I don't have a musical bone in my body anymore, and I just can't recover. Like, Queen to me is gone. So, less of the band back together, but more of like, man, how cool it'd be to have John Deacon come back, play music with Brian and Roger again, whatever that looks like. Would just be cool. But yeah, just a kind of a fascinating story just because, it's just, he completely disappeared and hasn't come back. And it's like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just I don't know. It's me talking out of my ass, but I just think he was profoundly affected by Freddie's death. He's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like it's just he
That's
lost
exactly.
like his best friend or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you though. That would be. I'd be second in line for tickets right behind you, Alex.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I just got a couple comments here before we keep going around the horn. I don't want to get
Roy's
too
back.
far
I see
behind
Roy
in
in
my
there.
hosting duties here. Hold on.
Mr. Roy.
We'll get to you, Roy. Has anyone seen the Talking Heads yet?
No.
No.
I would like to. That'd be dope.
Music in the House would love to see the Sundays get back together, a 90s UK indie rock band. I don't know those guys. Do you know those guys?
I've heard of the Sundays.
I don't like Sunday. It's my least favorite day of the week. Richard's all in for that. Another never happen would be the Smiths.
Yeah.
Would love to see the Smiths, but I agree they had their time. It would be hard for them to live up to their history. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those that, much as we dream about it, there's some that can pull it off and some that can't. And you kind of go, it's maybe better to remember them the way they were, and who knows? It's a tough call. Roy, our resident musicologist who's seen everybody. Hi guys, Eric Burton, just loved him in The Animals and War. So fortunate to see them back in the day. Is there anyone that Roy hasn't seen in concert? I mean,
We're gonna stump you one day, Roy.
one of these days, Roy.
Got you.
Jason, have you heard of The Winds of Change by The Animals classic album?
I wrote it down.
There you go.
It's
Jay's giving himself homework every single week.
I love it.
We should check back to see if he does his homework.
I do. I got comments to say. Finish.
All right. Trevor would love to see Sepultura. Did I pronounce that right?
Sepultura.
Sepultura. With the Cavalier brothers.
That is Sepultura.
Sepultura. Sure. I don't even know who they are.
They are Brazilian. Check me on that, Trevor. They're Brazilian, pretty thrash metal band, heavy. Yeah,
right up your alley, right, Sam?
It is. Yeah.
That's all.
Brazilian
You got the whole
Sam does love the Brazilian. So.
I need the
Ouch.
drum roll sound effect. Instead, all I have is
The
drum.
girl from Ipanema. No.
Oh, she did.
What else we got? Music Sanctuary. I'd love to see Pink Floyd again, but that's not going to happen.
We'll talk about that probably.
I'm sure we will. DCM. I'd like to see XTC do something.
All
right.
right, that's a great answer.
Spank one out, Jason.
Okay, so yeah, I do my home. I write down homework every week, and I should have. I wrote it down this time, and I wrote down Roy's thing. I put in brackets Roy because I don't remember who suggested a couple weeks ago Thin Lizzy and XTC. So I've been trying right in the Thin Lizzy albums, the first three that I've listened to, and we're just talking driving around, not like critically, like really focused. But I did enjoy them quite a bit. The XTC I'm finding a harder time to get into, but I love you guys in the Peanut Gallery. This is awesome. Every week I get away from this with like a list that I throw in my truck, and I'll always explore new stuff. So thanks, Roy. I'll look after that. The next one I got for the list here is I don't have an album that really relates directly to what I want to hear, but I have the albums kind of on either end of it. And what I want to see is I want to see a guy who's arguably a great front man, arguably a wicked voice, but he went from doing the kind of music that I like into more of a crooner aspect of things that doesn't appeal to me. And that's I want to see Rod Stewart go back to blues rock and rock and roll.
Oh,
the albums
that's a
like
good answer.
to speak to
Great
that
answer.
are this, right? So I don't have a Small Faces album. I have a Faces album.
Jeff Beck is dead, Jason.
I know, so he can't do that. But the vocals on Truth by Rod Stewart, I want this Rod Stewart back again. And if he's got to reunite with whatever Faces or Small Faces are left to do it, that would be even better. But I think that Rod Stewart singing on this album, like this is one of my favorite albums I own. My brother-in-law introduced me to this album. I knew who Jeff Beck was just because I knew he was a guitar god guy. And I thought it was going to be all about Beck. And it is a wicked album for Beck's sake. But when I first put him on, he didn't tell me that Rod Stewart was singing. I'm like, man, this guy's voice is super familiar. Who the hell is it? In any event, Rod Stewart going back to some kind of blues rock or rock roots would be awesome. All the power to him for how he took his career into that kind of path. It's a great indication of a guy that's versatile and can do almost anything. But come on, Rod, get back to the basics and fucking give me some good blues rock shit.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, you want that Young Turks Rod Stewart back, don't you?
Yes. You guys are great.
Hope it sounds better than that.
No, just like that.
Just like that.
Rob,
All right.
if you want my body and you think I'm sexy,
Let me know. All right, Sam, it's your turn. Let's move along. Let's move along.
Here. There have been talks in the media the last week or so, but because I'm cheap, I have not subscribed to read the full article. Rolling Stone posted an interview with a gentleman that I love quite a bit. No, it's not any of you folks. It's my man Mike Campbell, and there are talks because in 2 years it will be the 50th anniversary of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, which is unbelievable. And there were talks even before Tom passed of the Heartbreakers doing a Wildflowers tour, doing all of Wildflowers in its entirety, blah, blah, blah. That went to the wayside, obviously, when Tom passed. They put out the box set. But there are talks of getting the Heartbreakers back together, including original drummer Stan Lynch, who was not on any of their albums since 1991. With Into the Great Wide Open, that was his last album with him. Then he played with him in 1994. But to see the Heartbreakers play, either have Mike sing a lot of the lyrics on a lot of the songs, or to have Stevie Nicks come in. I'm sure they would try to get people like Chris Stapleton, who I don't really want, but they would get people to play their songs to honor their 50th, because these guys were such a great band. And obviously, like, most of these guys were studio cats too. Mike obviously worked for Don Henley, for Stevie Nicks. Ben Montench has played with everybody. He works a lot with Rick Rubin still with American Records. Ferroni was in the Average White Band. Scott Thurston was with Jackson Brown. And Ron Blair has done some production as well, the bassist. And then Stan Lynch has done writing as well. So all of them have credentials to play as a band, because they're such a great band. It's just a shame that with Tom passing that they can't make music together again. Now, there's been partial reunions. I mean, when I saw the Dirty Knobs, Mike Campbell's band, I saw obviously Mike and Steve are in that band currently. Ben Mont has played like on a song on each of the albums, and they've played a couple times together. And I know Ron Blair has come out, and actually so has Thurston. They've all come out at different times to play with Mike, but just not at the same time. And I want them all on the same stage together, one show. I would pay big bucks to see it. And I would just love the Heartbreakers to do one more big concert to celebrate their legacy. So the Heartbreakers, give us some of that Torpedo and the Mojo and all that. Full Moon Fever.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If I want to throw up on stage, but yeah.
Maybe. Well, now I'd go see that. I mean, I hope you'd put me on the guest list, but
you might get a drumstick out of it.
You might get a drumstick, yeah.
Yeah, he'd give me an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we here? Roy. He met Thin Lizzy. Of course he did. Of
What
course.
about the band? Yeah.
At the Marquee Club before they were big. At the bar. Boy, their hair was long at the time. Phil was fun.
What if Roy is that's not even his real name or his picture? He's actually like a famous musician. Who is Roy? Maybe Roy is Jimmy Page, or maybe Roy is like Rick Rubin or something like that.
Wouldn't it be funny if Roy was just like, I'm going to fuck with these guys on YouTube. I'm just going to make
maybe
up.
Roy's
Like,
like
could be a troll.
kid.
he's just sitting there laughing at us, and he's like seen nobody. Never been to a concert before. I don't think that's true. We got to get Roy on here as a guest and just have him tell stories all night, because that would be awesome.
That'd be wicked.
You can invite him up, and then we'd all just leave so you could talk.
Yeah, exactly. We just sit there and watch. Anyone want a Page and Plant reunion?
Yeah, for sure. Why in the hell not?
Why
I
wouldn't
don't know if they were going to pop. I mean, John Paul Jones is there too.
Yeah, I know. You just need Jason Bonham again.
And just get Bonham. I mean, right? Like that's. But you know what though? Like this is a perfect example of. I didn't know if Zeppelin was going to show up on either of y'all's lists.
You're too big now, Sam. I'm gonna make you small again.
Never too big.
Are they up
No,
on your
that's
list,
not what
Sam?
Say that again?
Is Zeppelin on your list?
Not the list that I pulled, but I mean, obviously, I'm pro Zeppelin.
Right, but I just didn't know if you.
No, I don't have them to talk about.
Well, but in the grand scheme of things, Jimmy Page has done nothing in a long ass time.
20
True.
years.
Like, so, it's not like he, I mean, Robert's been doing, he did the classic, like, I'm jumping ship. I'm getting out of like he's been doing stuff with Allison forever
Krauss.
now.
Yeah.
And so it's just like interesting of like, arguably one of the biggest living guitarists of all time has been, every once in a while he'll approve like a shitty remastered version that Jason's going to complain about later in life.
Dang.
But it's
Not
like
a Kevin Gray cut. It's no good.
But yeah, it's just crazy of like I don't know what he's been involved with, what he's done. I don't know if he's writing. I mean, it's wild, right?
We know you are, Roy. We were just joking. We absolutely believe your stories in all sincerity, and we would love to have you on someday to tell us some stories. If you're ever open to that, that would be
reach out to Rob there. Reach out to whatever the email address is.
northernrevolutions@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll set some up. That would be awesome. You'd be like the featured guest of the month.
Yeah, no pressure.
Because the stories you've got amaze the hell out of all of us, honestly. Let's see here. Zepp reunion with Jason Bonham should have happened years ago.
Yeah, Bonham was playing the kit whenever they were inducted to the Hall of Fame. Obviously, the guys weren't on stage at the time, but when they did the Page and Plant albums, there, early '90s, whatever the hell they were called, was Bonham not doing the tour with them? Like John Paul Jones didn't want to join; he was kind of out of it.
Bonham died in 1980.
No, Jason Bonham.
Talking about Jason.
I thought he played the kit in.
Thanks, Sam.
In the early '90s with them, but
popcorn.
Grace died 30 years ago.
Grace.
She means the blessing.
Blessing.
It's a Christmas vacation joke, people.
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah.
When Page would do an autograph session, he never signed. He had an ink stamp with his signature on it. That's horse crap.
Oh man,
that's terrible.
What in the Bob Dylan is going on here?
That's brutal. What a lazy prick.
Dang.
God
He
damn.
went from being great to a piece of something.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? I mean, it's not that you owe people anything, but you kind of do. If you don't want to give autographs, don't give autographs. But don't give people a stamp. These people have bought your records and given you the lifestyle.
Mm.
That's a great discussion for another time. What do famous people, or in our case, because we're music nerds, what do musicians owe us, if anything? There'd be a good debate there.
I mean, we can relate because we're famous in our own right.
Well, Alex was recognized.
We got me, Gary, and Steve got spotted.
Hold on, I got to make you big for this story. You got recognized. This is a big deal.
Yeah, me, Steve, and Gary got recognized at the Saxon Uriah Heep show, and it was the guy comes up and he approaches Steve, shakes his hand, and him and Steve were talking, and Gary and I had just assumed because Steve got us the ticket hookup, so we were in like the balcony, sort of like VIP like area, whatever, like seated seats. Very schmoozy that only Steve could provide. And like they were just talking. So Gary and I had just assumed that was, the venue contacts and promotions guy, something like that. And then the guy turns, he looks at Gary, goes, "Hi, Gary, I'm Ari." "Great. Hey, Alex, Ari, nice to meet you, man. Hey, do you guys mind if I get a picture?"
Get out of town.
I swear to God. But the joke was until he walked away, Gary and I just thought he was Steve's guy. And like we just assumed he knew our name because we were on like a guest list or something to sit up there. And Steve's like, "I have no idea who that was. Some guy who watches our shows."
Wow.
He's like, "Yeah, I knew you guys were going to be here. I heard you talking about it on some of your streams."
That's fantastic.
Boing. I mean, come on.
That's awesome.
So, some people are making 10 cents a month.
That's just called,
Other people.
that's just called a
Listen.
night in Amsterdam.
It's up to $1.73 this week. So
I mean, if you look at a percentage increase, Rob, you're a sales
right.
guy.
Not to mention that massive commission for anyone that needs record sleeves. You should check out vinylstoragesolutions.ca and use promo code Northern10.
Look at your boy Vaginal down there.
Oh, what's this?
That's right.
That's a great story, man. I've never been recognized, and I just, that would be just such a weird thing. Weird thing. I can't even get my family to watch my videos. So
Yeah, we can't do.
well, I'll turn on the TV and I watch a lot of YouTube, right? And it has all the suggested videos, and mine will pop up there, and my son will go, "Dad, don't make me watch your video." I'm like, "Don't worry. I won't." Yeah, again. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Where did we leave off? I got a little bit
I
derailed.
think it's you, Rob.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
finished up with the Heartbreakers. Yeah, it's back to the top.
Back to the top. Okay. Let's do this one. Sam and I can talk about this together, probably. I would imagine. Let me make myself big here. Boom. Okay. I mean, no rock band reunion discussion nowadays would be complete without the mention of, right? I didn't want to steal your thunder there, Sam.
I've got a lot of thunder
All right. So,
from down
I
under.
mean, is it going to happen? I don't know. I mean, I would have said not in a million years a while ago, but it seems that, I mean, Liam really wants to do it, and Liam's really wanted to do it for a while. And Noel's been kind of absolutely not. I mean, they hate each other for maybe justified reasons. I don't know. But then Noel's kind of warmed up a little bit recently and has hinted maybe it might happen. And then they've been teasing this week on social media. I don't know if you saw that, Sam.
Yep.
But what I think what that is going to be, I think that's going to be a 30th anniversary reissue of Definitely Maybe.
Which I feel like we just got Definitely Maybe, didn't we? For something
We
else.
got the 20th 10 years ago. So if you're
Get
going
ready
to give
for
me
another demo.
if you're going to give me a 30th, put some stuff with it, right? Like, don't just repackage it, remaster it, and put it on a special color. Like, throw some other stuff in
Or
there.
do a tour behind it.
Do a tour behind it. That'd be amazing. So Oasis has been teasing something, and I don't know. I mean, neither of them need the money, I think, but man, that would just be. Your thoughts on it, Sam? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Liam has been really prolific here in the last 7 years or so.
Yeah.
He put up 4 albums, a couple of live records. He did MTV Unplugged.
And I would argue they're better than Knowles recently.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, he's obviously sticking to the formula.
Yes.
He did the one with John Squire, which I know you talked about. I talked about it.
I loved it.
Crunchy album.
Yeah.
And there's live record. I mean, that MTV Unplugged is just beautiful. And then the Thames concert on the River Thames concert. It's
That was
fantastic.
good.
Liam has done all sorts of press, and yeah, I mean, Noel. They still kind of poke fun at each other, but I think that's part of who they are now. It's part of their
I
character.
think so.
Just like anybody, just like any entertainer has a character that they put across. That's their thing. If they're going to be two brothers that hate each other, but they could do something, especially with the 30th anniversary coming up. And I mean, that could just be 30th anniversary of the band, like our first record.
Could be.
Which would be ideal. If that doesn't work, then obviously Morning Glory would be the big one where you could do the whole album in its entirety or something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously we never know what to expect with Oasis. But I mean, yeah, I had them because again, there's been warm-ups. Liam's been talking about this and that. I don't know if they text or anything like that. I know the mom is still alive and they have another brother.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's one of those things. And then another band that I had who have been teasing that they've been recording for the last 10 years are the Kinks. I didn't pull them, but the Davis brothers, Davis, and then Mick Avery is still alive, the original drummer. I know Dave has had some health issues with, I think he had a stroke that didn't hinder his, lifestyle necessarily, but he's definitely slurring a bit. And I don't know how that's affected his guitar playing, but that's another group that they're like the original Oasis, or I guess, them, the Everly Brothers, all those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see it happen. That's a band I never did get to see live. So,
but see, we never thought that Axl and Slash would be on the same stage together. Now they've been touring on their reunion for like 7 or 8 years now.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything's possible. I think what holds it back is I don't even think it's the animosity between the brothers. I think Noel gets easily bored, and I think he just wants to be doing his own thing, and I don't think he's interested in replaying the Oasis thing. So, and he doesn't need the money. So I don't know, maybe he just needs his mood to change, I think, because he's the stumbling block. I think everyone else is on board. I mean, and again, what version of Oasis are we going to get? I don't think anybody really cares as long as it's the two Gallagher brothers together.
It's like the Black Crows. Yeah.
Right. It'd be nice if Bonehead played with them, which I think he probably would because he's been playing with Liam a bit. So.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be interesting. Could happen. They keep making rumors that maybe they're going to headline Glastonbury 2025. So,
and also you could have a buffer even if John Squire's in the band with them.
Sure,
like a super group.
Yeah. Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that would be good. All right. A couple comments, and then we'll get going around the horn again. Music Sanctuary, Uriah Heep. Very nice, Alex. I hope you enjoyed the show. Not sure which version of Uriah Heep you saw, but there's been so many.
So another quick story because I'm a freaking idiot. So the only remaining original member in Uriah Heep is Mick Box, who's the lead guitarist. But Bernie Shaw has been their singer since 1986, so he's rolling up on almost 40 years now. And Adam Wakeman was playing keyboards for them, which is Rick Wakeman's son, which is kind of cool. But we are, me, Steve, Gary, we're like, pre-gaming a little bit, having some food, drinks before the show right across the street from the venue. I run to take a leak, as they say, and I'm in there. I'm washing my hands, and next to me in this freaking urinal is this guy that's like straight gray hair. And I was like, with shades on, I'm like a good 90% sure that's Mick Box. Like sitting there taking, and I was like, how do I have this conversation? Like,
right.
It's like, I'm not going to reach for a handshake and say, big fan of your work,
No, you say you're on an island and you have 3 books. And then he says, I've got to read 3 books.
Yeah, right. Like,
right, Jason?
And I'm like, ugh. So I step out, walk away, and just sort of forget about it, whatever. And, we're sitting back at the bar, whatever. And then, of course, Mick and their bassist and a couple of other people from their crew walk out, and some people clapping, yeah, go get it, that sort of thing. And Steve, of course, was like, oh, that was Mick Box, just walked out. And I was like, yeah, I just ran into him in the bathroom and didn't say a single thing. So that will be a great story.
Well, it's a tough one, right? Do you want to be a creeper that talks to a man while he's doing his business, or
right?
Yeah, tough call, man.
Yeah,
so you don't want to wait outside because then you're kind of like a stalker,
right? It was so funny. I mean, we were joking because the club in Cincinnati is called Bogarts, and it's basically on University of Cincinnati's campus, and so that area is it's a lot of cool restaurants, cool dive bars, those types of things. So we were joking, oh, it makes sense if some of the guys came over for a drink or something. That's what they were getting dinner and drinks before the show. And even though it was pre-show, there was barely anybody in there. They were just sitting at a booth like anybody else. And so, yeah, but I'm kind of regretting that. But also I'm like, what would you have said? Like you said, Rob, what do you do?
I would have walked in and I would have just played it up. Would have walked in and been, holy fuck, you're Mick. What are you doing here? Because of course you know what I mean? But it would have just been you would have probably laughed about it because you'd be like, you're gonna play the show?
I hope so.
You know what I mean? It's kind of funny because obviously why that's what I would have done.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. You love Martino's too? They got great pizza. That was the name of the restaurant. Yeah.
Who doesn't love good pizza?
I love pizza.
You know what they say about pizza?
I don't know.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go. We'll catch up comments later.
Well, this is a funny one because commercially, financially.
No, it's Jason. No, it's you. It's you.
It's you.
Can I go?
You can go.
You did in the bathroom with Mick.
Oh shit! It's Mick. What are you doing here?
What's the deal with urinals?
Did you wash your hands?
It gives new meaning to the word stream. Yeah.
Oh boy. Go ahead, Alex. It's going to get worse if you don't.
This one is a personal one because commercially this makes no sense. Financially, it makes less sense. And it's just a personal thing for me that I would give a shit ton of money that I don't have to go see. And here's what's interesting about this. This reunion, well, I'll give it away, and then I guess I'll explain what I'm talking about. I would give a lot of fucking money to see Peter Gabriel re-up and join the classic Genesis lineup for some fun. But here's what's so funny about this, and why I say commercially and financially this makes no sense. Peter Gabriel plays arenas as a solo artist. He was a much bigger solo artist than Genesis ever was when he was in Genesis. Genesis, as they currently sit, are also selling out arenas and stadiums. They made significantly more money than they ever made when Peter Gabriel was in Genesis. Phil Collins, as a solo artist, is selling out arenas so that Sam can go and sing Easy Lover for 3 hours. And so, but if this were to happen and Peter Gabriel were to join, they did like some kind of reunion tour. First of all, people would say, wait, Peter Gabriel is joining Genesis? Why? You know what I mean? Like, most people don't know this. And B, they would probably play in theaters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's so funny is like, what a strange situation now of like, Peter goes solo, sells out arenas. Genesis becomes super popular when Phil takes over. Now, Genesis and Phil, either collectively or on their own, are selling out arenas. But if they got together again, it's like it's not the original, but the classic lineup, they might be selling, out 2,500, 30,000 seat arenas, or I'm sorry, theaters. And so, yeah, I say this like completely personally. I would give a left nut and right teat to see this happen. Man, I mean, just to see them play,
They're meaning the peanut butter.
Just to see them play just tracks from those 4 albums would just be, I would literally, nut would be given. So nut would be given. That's all I want to say about it. So yeah.
Oh man,
there you have it.
That's a good point. It's kind of like, like if Fleetwood Mac got back together, but they said, "Oh, we're not going to do it with Lindsey and Stevie. We're going to do it with, we're going to honor the old guys." And like they bring in like Gary Clark Jr. people like that.
Let's not tread on that quite yet. That may come up.
Talk about the Mac Daddies, right, Alex?
Steer out of that lane.
Jason, what's the deal?
Okay, I don't know if this has happened before. I know that they got together, but I'm not sure who in the band got back together in I think the 2010s or something like that. I don't even know if I'm really interested in seeing it happen because I think it might just kind of
why are you bringing it up?
Reputations because I only have so many options, to be honest. But I like both guys a lot. One of them is obviously still touring. I think he's actively touring right now. But
Hall & Oates.
What about? There's only a couple of the guys that are surviving still, but the 2 main guys are still around.
It's all tease.
I want to see Stills and Young get together. And if it has to be a Buffalo incarnation, that's great. But to see Neil and Steven performing together, I thought like they had a lot of tension in between them for their whole career, basically. But my God, like, did they ever?
And Richie's still alive too, isn't he? Richie Furay?
I think Richie's
and
alive,
Jim Messina still around.
Sorry to interrupt.
Like on this album, it was all Steven and Neil writing it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
They were the creative force, basically, right? Like, and anytime they played together was so cool to watch because you knew that there was a bit of tension there, and they kind of built off each other a little bit in a competitive sense, and two very different voices, 2 very kind of different guitar styles. Somehow, like they really made it work. I always enjoyed anything that Steven Stills did, even his solo work after, just because I think his voice is just freaking awesome. I love his guitar style. And of course, Neil Young is Neil Young and he's top 5 favorite artists of all time. So I would like to see Neil and Steven get on stage. If it's a Buffalo Springfield thing, like I said, I think Richie's the only other surviving guy maybe, but from the original lineup, but get them back together. Like again, and another great example of a band that, you don't have to release anything. The fan base is already there. You might not sell out like full stadiums, but you're gonna have fans that will put their ass in the seats for that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Vaginal saw Neil 2 nights ago.
Oh shit! Wow.
Well, I don't
He was
know if
in
y'all
Toronto.
know Tom Hunyadi, YouTube big Beatles guy. He's seeing Neil tonight. He's out there in Arizona, I think. And what's cool is right now with Crazy Horse, one of the members is Micah Nelson, Willie Nelson's youngest son.
No way.
Yeah, he was really cool. He's got his own band. He tours under his own name called the Particle Kid. I think it's kind of like psych rock stuff. He's in his late 30s. But yeah.
Isn't it so funny though that like, you know, Neil's obviously he's constantly touring. That'd be a great show to see. And you know, I think Steven still tours. Still tours.
He doesn't sing as much because his voice is going pretty bad.
And that was one of the first shows I ever saw when I was in eighth grade. Eighth grade was Steven Stills.
A solo Steven Still show?
Yeah, this was 2004.
It's a good year. It's a fun age.
But the point is like, you know, both those independently. But imagine if they marketed a tour as Buffalo Springfield.
Oh yeah,
People would be like, "Well, that sounds like I'll bring my saddle," you know, like.
And honestly, with Buffalo Springfield, they could do it, and you could throw Graham Nash in there too. You know?
Yeah, like
You could put Bruce in there, and it would be Buffalo Springsteen.
Yeah.
Well, you got the Niles Lofgren connection with Crazy Horse,
Right.
Nigel
Whatever.
Thornberry.
Yeah. All right. A few comments here. Where were we? Roy said he got to meet JT. JT was in Thailand. That's awesome that you guys got to connect.
In Thailand.
JT seems like the nicest dude. He really
How
does.
y'all fuckers living in Thailand?
Huh?
How are these fuckers living in Thailand?
JT's
Well, Roy
nice.
lives there, but
warm.
JT was visiting. He was traveling.
Best food on the
He
planet.
has family in Thailand. His wife is Thai.
Yeah. Roy said in an interview on the Jonathan Ross show, Liam said he hasn't spoken to Noel in 10 years. Yeah, that's probably accurate. Pissing Next to Mick. That's the title for Alex's autobiography. Pissing Next to Mick.
Replace one letter, and what do you got?
I don't know. Oh, we're slow on the uptake there, folks. Pardon me.
Slow burn tonight.
Yep.
Like the burning.
That's a great point, Trevor.
There's a kill for that too.
Nice.
That's a great point. Bill
the
Ward's
burning
like
sensation.
he's kind of
Let the grown-ups talk. Continue, Alex. I'm listening to you.
No, I was just commenting on Trevor's comment about
I agree.
Bill Ward.
Ozzy said he'd love to do one last show with Black Sabbath. I don't know if Ozzy could do any shows the shape that he's in, but have any of you guys seen Ozzy before?
No.
Nope.
I saw him once, and I'm not an Ozzy fan. Like I respect him, but I'm just not like
I love the Australians.
Can we mute Sam for a few minutes?
Can you just kick him out the fucking room
I
for a
could.
few days?
But I don't want him to get his feelings hurt or whatever because we like Sam, and he's the looks of our ensemble here. So the women like him.
I wouldn't say that.
The women like him because that's why there's none of them watching. I saw Ozzy, I don't know, 15 years ago because my best friend at the time, he wanted to go and his wife bought him tickets as a surprise and wanted me to go with him, and I did. It's a great show. I'm actually glad I saw him. He put on a really, really good show. I loved hearing the Sabbath tunes that he did. Great. Babbles incoherently when he's not singing. I mean, yeah, and I think it's only gotten worse. So,
but I mean, the crazy thing about Sabbath though is like, I mean, you're talking about a band from 1969, and all four of them are still alive,
right?
And it's
Yep.
Ozzy's going to embarrass himself at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, that may very well happen. Phil was great. Actually, his voice is fine. I wouldn't scrap the show because he can't stand for the duration.
Yeah.
Hey, he's looking pretty frail these days. Music Sanctuary. I read it was Sharon who didn't want Bill Ward on the reunion tour. Wouldn't pay him the money he requested as she managed the tour. I could see that happening. Why didn't she want him on the tour though? I mean, I think she's probably bit of a control freak, but what she got against Bill Ward?
Um,
I'm not sure
No.
the history there, but that would
Yeah, I don't
probably,
know.
that probably tracks. Yeah.
Who knows? We did that. The rhythm section of Crazy Horse is almost laughably bad now, but it works.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Molina and something else.
I wish Young would do a complete cross Canada tour. They'd be sold out in a flash. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about Canada anymore.
Yeah, he should. Okay, yeah, Neil should do that where he just like travels from city to city by horseback,
There you go.
like just for the culture, you know.
Crazy Horse. Yeah.
And he puts his gear on the back of a beaver that follows his horse. Yeah.
There's a town.
Roger
I love
McGuinn
that
is
song.
doing well with his own singing, talking show. I guess he could play with Chris Hillman, who could still play and sing pretty good. Pretty much is. You saw him talking about Neil. He's got at least 8 Canadian dates on this tour alone. So
Helpless, helpless.
they're about to announce Farm Aid. Dylan will almost certainly be there again. There you go, Sam. Go to Farm Aid.
If only.
You guys haven't seen Ozzy. Too bad. You missed an incredible show. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm not a giant Ozzy fan, but I'm really glad I got to see him. The opener was horrible. Not that he was. The opener was Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Oh,
Not that he was bad. This is not my kind of music. I'm like, what in the is this? It just
Yeah,
is
Rob,
not my kind.
Rob going to Rob Halford and Ozzy. It's not what I had in my.
I enjoyed Ozzy. I mean, I like Black Sabbath. There's no doubt about that. But the Halford part of it, whoo, yeah, that was an experience. So, have we done everybody? Are we going around to where are we at? Is it my
I
turn?
just go. I think we're back to Jason.
Oh, Jason? I don't know who
You
went.
went already?
No, you just
No.
went. It's
I
me.
just went. I just did Genesis. so.
It's me. I'm the end of the line here.
Sam
No,
went. All right.
Well, I just did Genesis though.
And then
I'm
I
the
went.
first, and now we go to Jason, then Sam, then Rob. No, we
you
go
did
me,
Genesis,
Rob.
I did Buffalo.
No, I
Springfield.
went first,
Sam
and then
Rob's
Alex
first.
went
Sam,
second.
Sam is up. Sam is up.
So who went last? Alex, you just went with Genesis.
Who's on
I-
first?
I
Yeah,
went with
Sam's
Buffalo
up.
Springfield.
Sam's up.
Sam, why don't you
Boy.
say you're up?
I apologize
Sam,
to folks
get it
in the
together.
Walnut
Sam,
Gallery.
you're
This is a
fucking ruining it.
well-oiled machine this evening.
Yeah, it's something. Well, see, I don't know where to go now because somebody mentioned one thing. All right, I'll do this. I'm gonna mention what Roy.
No.
What? Is that where you're going?
No.
Okay. All right, Jason.
I don't know where you're going.
I hate you guys.
Thank you. Roy
Love
mentioned
you.
Hillman and McGuinn. I had this pulled because obviously they did tour and they did a bunch of they did some albums together in the 70s and 80s with Gene Clark, and then Clark left and they did McGuinn Hillman records. And they've played back and forth on different albums. On Hillman's last record in 2017, McGuinn is on it. So is David Crosby, which was kind of like the last time that they were all in the same place, even though it wasn't the same track. But Chris Hillman, obviously the bassist of the Byrds, the original bassist of the Byrds, who went on to do the Flying Burrito Brothers, Desert Rose Band, which was a country rock group in the 80s. They could get together, and they were the only two original Byrds on this album, which is my favorite Byrds record, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. They toured with Marty Stewart and the Superlatives back in 2018 for the 50th anniversary of this, which I was fortunate to see that show. And it was just one tour and that was it. I would love for McGuinn, even if it's just McGuinn, to get with Marty and the Superlatives, because they're essentially acolytes of the Byrds music and Tom Petty, and like kind of like that country, like Buck Owens kind of sound too. But for them to back McGuinn on an electric tour, I don't know that Hillman would do it simply because he said he's retired. And last few times I've seen him, he's been walking with a cane. Still looks to be in pretty good health to be 80 years old. But I don't know that he wants to stand up on a stage all night anymore. But to see McGuinn play with Marty and those guys again, because it's been 6 years since they toured, and again McGuinn went back to kind of his folky one-man show act that he's been doing now for well over probably 15 years or so. I would love to see some kind of Byrds act with obviously I would love it to be with Hillman and McGuinn, but if it was just McGuinn with Marty Stewart and those guys to kind of bring up that tour, play just play Byrd songs from across the gamut, and then obviously do other tunes that they want to throw in there as well. I think that would be a really sweet tour. This tour was selling out all across the country. It did have a record store day reissue from that tour, kind of some hazy facts behind the pressing of that. But yeah, I would love to see something happen with the Byrds, even though we only have 2 of the Byrds left. I think that would be super, super awesome because I know Marty Stewart would do it in a second to back him up. So there you go, Roy. I already had this pulled for you, my friend.
Nice.
I have to stop this with some breaking news. And I know I
Vagina?
said I didn't want to talk about this. However, the Jays are winning 9-0. And I'm going to preface this by saying the Jays are the worst fucking team in baseball. And they're winning 9-0. And tonight,
blind squirrel.
And tonight, this won't mean much unless you're a big Jays fan. They brought the home run jacket out of retirement, and now they're winning 9-0. Is that all it took to wake this goddamn team up? Is the goddamn home run jacket? What a shit show. Anyway. Okay. Whose turn is it? Sorry. I was breaking. I needed that like
It's back to the top.
It's you, bro.
Is it my turn now? Okay, it's my turn now. Okay. All right. Where are we here? I need this button, and then I need to go like this. Okay. A band that I would love to reunite, but I don't think it will ever happen. Everyone still exists. That's the word. Everyone is still alive, and Jason just went upside down and then back around again.
The fucking Delta World.
You get to see that finger, Jason.
There you go.
That's a good pick, Rob.
You like this? You like these guys? Grace Potter and the Nocturnals.
Yeah.
This is a band I was in love with forever. I think they were lightning in a bottle, is how I've described them. They like a kind of 70s rock, a little bit of blues sprinkled in there. This was their last album from 2012 called The Lion, the Beast, the Beat. They were incredible. They had like 5 studio albums. They were amazing. They were better as a band than all the individual players in the band. It was just like the right combination. Now they had a couple different bass. They had 3 different bass players over their years, but the rest of the band was intact. And they were amazing. I saw them live on this tour. They blew me away. And again, Alex and I have talked about this before. It's that kind of throwback rock and roll that, you know, is one kind of like Black Crowes or Dirty Honey, that kind of thing. These guys have been doing it since like 2005 or something when they first started. And then what happened is when they went to record the follow-up to this album, which is called Midnight. I have it hanging on my wall up there. It's still all of the Nocturnals, but it was released as a solo album. And what happened is Grace Potter was married to the drummer, Matt Burr, for years, and they were the founders of the band back in the early days in Vermont, 12 years before they got married and they were together and whatever. And she fell in love with the producer of the Midnight album and ultimately decided that it should be a solo album, whether that was her saying this should be a solo album or the producer, Eric Valentine, chirping in the ear saying you're bigger than the band. I think it might've been a combination of the two. She basically said to the Nocturnals, screw you. This is a Grace Potter record, even though they all play on it. And so there was no announcement other than the guitar player, Scott Tournay, who I've met, super nice dude, posted on social media, I won't be touring to support the new album. The Nocturnals are no more. Not happy about how things ended. A lot of animosity. Shortly thereafter, Grace and Matt divorced. She had a child with the producer who they have now remarried. There is no hope that this band is ever going to get back together. Matt Burr, the drummer, moved to Puerto Rico, started his own recording studio, and by all accounts was absolutely devastated and, whatever for a long time. He's got, he's recovered from it, but he got fucked. And this band will never get back together, which is unfortunate. Grace Potter is a talented performer. She's great on stage. Had, past tense, an incredible singing voice. Great songwriter. Her solo stuff, not a big fan. It's not as good as it was with the Nocturnals. She's done a lot of drugs. She smokes way too much. She's not taking care of her voice. Her voice now is not nearly, it's raspy and crackles and doesn't have the range that it used to. Not as good as it used to be. However, if there was any way to get back in the DeLorean and go back a decade or so, I would really love to see Grace Potter and the Nocturnals back together, because they made some of the best throwback rock and roll I've ever heard.
Don't you have a DeLorean?
I have one made out of Lego. It's about this big.
I had to look it up. I forgot what their big hit was. At least
Paris Ooh La La.
Was Paris Ooh La La, because that was in a commercial, I think, and blew up.
Yeah. And then they had a follow-up hit off this record. She had another huge hit with the song Stars.
Yeah.
That was a big monster hit too.
Ooh La La. Yeah. Remember that.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome. I met Grace and I met Scott and I met Matt, and I absolutely loved that band. And more than any other band, that's one I really, they were something special. And it's just such a shame. But egos, I think it boils down to egos at the end of the day, I think, with that one.
Can you jump down to Zach's comment, Rob?
She did the Tequila song with Kenny Chesney. Yes.
Hey, that's one we should have known. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does a lot of stuff. She's good friends with Warren Haynes. She does a lot of stuff with Government Mule. She's guested on several of their albums. And
that could work.
Yeah. Where are we here? So You and Tequila Make Me Crazy. Yeah, that's kind of a stupid song, but
yeah.
Nonetheless, that's where we're at. A few comments here. You just missed the baseball talk. Jays are winning. Home run jacket's back. I think the home run jacket's stupid, but whatever. Have you guys seen Dead and Company at the Sphere? All sold out at the $500 a ticket. Are you going to go see them at the Sphere, Sam? I know you're a big
no, but Mike over at Hub Tunes just did he went out there, met some friends, and he was only going to do one night, and he said they paid ridiculous money for it. And then they were just going to hang out in Vegas for another night or two, and they were at some bar, and the maitre d' was like, "Hey, are y'all seeing the show again tonight?" He's like, "Tickets have dropped in the same section that they were in for $85." So wow. he said after fees, he said they were $120.
That's not bad
to see him again. And Mike, I mean, he has videos. They said that it's really cool, but it's one of those things where, like, if you're not a phone at a concert person, that you would not like it, because you constantly want to take pictures and you're not fully listening to the music, because the visuals are just unbelievable. And I've seen pictures; it looks incredible, but I don't know. But no, I will not be going out. I saw Dead and Company last May, and that was fine. Although another band that we could talk about that could get back together are all the guys left from the Grateful Dead with Phil Lesh. They haven't done anything since like 2015 when they had that final concert, but they won't do it.
Well, I guess I'll remove them from my list.
I thought you were big head.
Vagina would rather see Fish on a lawn for $60. You can see Fish on a lawn for $5. Just go to the fish store and throw one on the lawn.
Jesus Christ!
Just saying, it's a lot cheaper. I don't know if it will be as entertaining, but there's one Canadian artist I've not seen, and Joni Mitchell. I'd definitely be going. The man's a legend, and her. Yeah, agreed. We did Zach's comments. What's Tim got to say? REM needs to get back together. Yeah, Tim, we were chatting about them briefly back at the top, saying that's probably never, ever going to happen. Richard, I think Grace Potter and Nocturnals play Red Rocks. Yes, they did. They streamed that show live. I watched it live and actually ripped it. It's on my computer somewhere. That was a hell of a good show. Man. I've got a lot of live GPN stuff, and so it's a shame. Tim saw Styx last night. Gowan for his age is just mind-blowing.
I'm the biggest modern-day Styx advocate ever. and now Lawrence Gowan's little brother is playing bass for them because Ricky Phillips announced his departure. So, yeah, I'm all in on modern-day Styx.
All right,
Is me?
you.
All right,
sir.
Cool. I got 2 left, I guess. And I'll do this one because this is more of an actual band reunion, while the other one is more of a just need to see like the main person back in the band sort of situation.
Hold on. Look at this. Just because you're a Styx fan.
There you go.
Oh hell yeah, man! The Godfather himself. We love JY. What a man! What a fucking
Tim,
man! JY is.
for those of you who don't know, Tim and I talk a lot offline. Tim is like and I mean this in a nice way, the rock star stalker. He manages to meet everybody. The amount of people he's hung around the stage door to meet is insane. We got to have you on here someday, Tim, to share some stories, just like Roy. They're incredible. Sorry, go ahead, Al.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Tim. I think they put on such a good show, and damn, everybody in that band right now. But I could go on and on about Todd Zuckerman playing those drums too. That man is insane.
But let's not.
But I know the Canadians love some Gowan for sure. So this next one actually. So this person, well, I mean, you could argue that this was a band. I struggle with this because when you have some of these bands that they clearly had a front man, they clearly had a leader who was the lead songwriter, singer, guitarist, etc. It sort of becomes this dynamic where it's just them and then like a backing band. And I always want to be like, we got to be careful of that, because those other people playing those instruments, like even if they're not getting songwriting credits, or even if they're not singing, or, you know, those different things, like they are still insanely important to the overall sound of the band, the direction, all those different things. So I believe this person just released a new record on Blue Note. And actually he was in an interview and someone brought up and they're like, do you ever think about this band reuniting? And he gave some answer of like, it'd be really great, but there's just no way. But I'm talking about Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits. I was actually playing this earlier today. I fucking love this live album, man. This is so good. They're all still alive, but it's just an interesting thing. I think for a lot of reasons, with Brothers in Arms, which I've talked about on this show, I've talked about on the show before, that I think signaled a lot of changes because there's so much on that album that is not being played by the actual band members. I mean, there's everything from machines and computers and like studio people and all these different things. Yeah, Tim, I just said Mark has a new album. Tim, I love you, brother. You got to listen to the words that come out of my mouth. Yeah, but Sam, isn't it on Blue Note? Isn't he on Blue Note?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, and look, like I think Mark Knopfler is one of the most underrated, underappreciated musicians of all time. I have zero interest in getting into his solo stuff. It's just not my jam. I mean, I respect the hell out of the man, but it's not my jam. But man, again, I don't need an album. I do not need an album. Give me the Dire Straits band back together. Give me a fucking arena tour and let me get my shit down to Sultans of Swing and Telegraph Road and everything else and just goop all over the fucking audience. I don't care. I mean, come on, how good would that be for everybody involved?
Wow. I never even thought of that. Good call, Alex.
Man, that'd be so great. So yeah,
I don't think it'd be good for the people you goop on, but other than that,
well, I mean, the question,
know?
It's one of those things. When do you have to realize it's just that the timing's wrong?
Yeah, thanks.
That's a Romeo and Juliet reference for those.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's a good one, Alex. That's a good one. Great video.
we go from Alex pissing to Alex gooping.
Sometimes you just don't know,
Very bodily.
You always know what you're going to get here. So
listen, different tune, same hole. Okay.
Oh man,
hit up the After Dark.
Wow.
All right, Jason.
And just to update everybody, since I think I've jinxed the Jays, it's now 9-2. It's not 9-0 anymore. So what do you know? Go ahead, Jason. What's up, man?
Okay, so when the topic came up yesterday, I thought of this guy right away, and then I kind of just Googled it to see who was alive and all that stuff. And sure enough, a friggin' article comes up. The article is from like 2016, so the reunion actually happened already. I didn't dig deep enough to know if they're still doing this or not. But I'm going to stick with my original idea just because what a classic act, what an amazing performance at Woodstock that they put on. And they toured as an act again in 2016 for the first time they were on stage together. And that was the original lineup for Santana.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't dug deep enough to know what they're doing right now, but they were all alive, shy of 10 years ago, and they were on stage together. And to see that drummer on the stage at Woodstock, I would love to see him again give another massive, crazy solo, because it was legendary, right? Like, it was one of the best performances. He was the youngest guy at Woodstock on the stage. Michael Shreve, I think his name is Shreve, something like that. Anyway, so my last pick, this is all I got here, is to see Santana pull those guys together. Now, I don't know a lot of modern day Santana. I just have this album, and I'm kind of familiar with the first 3-4 albums, but I was never a fan of kind of his renaissance late in life. I think the guy's a genius. He's obviously super talented, and there's no denying that. But I didn't, I'm probably the last guy on the planet, but I don't like the Rob Thomas collab, the Supernatural thing. Like, I get why that was popular and everyone loves it. Good, great. But it was, for me, it's kind of a bit of a stain for Santana because it was the most overplayed song. If someone said, choose your most overplayed song, the song Smooth, I can't stand that freaking thing.
And then what was it? Just a handful of years later, he did Game of Love, right? Which was another like just huge mega pop hit. I forget who the singer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I want the original guy. I want the guy that had, allegedly had the acid daub in his friggin', in his headband at doing the Woodstock thing. I kind of want to see that experience all over again.
Because they did an album together, the reunion. They put out.
Did they do an album? Eh?
Yeah. With Rowley and all those guys.
That's awesome. I would hope they're still fucking impressive. That'd be great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sam, right? I think.
Yeah. I might do a quick little twofer because Alex, you said Jason, you said that was your last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, do a twofer. Why
not? So one here, I think Alex would probably get behind me. Rob, maybe. Again, impossible for the full lineup because they're creative mastermind-ish. I mean, the lead singer wrote a lot of lyrics too, but in terms of like production, everything, unfortunately, we lost him a few years back. But I would love to see something happen with the 3 remaining guys from Fountains of Wayne.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, Schlesinger passed away of COVID in 2020 in his early 50s.
Yep.
But you have, what is his name? Like, Chris Collingwood is the lead singer. What's his name? Brian something. Hold on, I'll get there. Jody Porter and Brian Young. Collingwood, again, the singer, after Fountains of Wayne put out their last record in 2011, then they, kind of had a soft breakup. After a couple of years, I think they toured a couple of years and then they just said, yeah, we're done. Schlesinger and Collingwood just couldn't get along. Then you had like the Monkees album, Good Times, which I talked about a lot. It was produced by Adam Schlesinger. That had Jody and Brian on it, on several tracks. They played, studio tracks on that record, and they played, in different power pop groups. And Chris Collingwood put out an album with a band, which is really just his project, called Look Park, I think in 2016. But they only put out one record, and it's kind of like Fountains of Wayne, a little bit more like lo-fi, I would say. But I still really like the record a lot. But I think those guys, again, they're very talented. Collingwood doesn't do hardly anything anymore. I think he's a great singer, even if it's a different kind of voice. Obviously, I think they're, obviously a lot more than Stacy's Mom, which was like the novelty track. I mean, this record, you have Hackensack, which is an awesome tune. Hey Julie is an awesome tune on here. Super Collider, Valley Winter Song, Mexican Wine, just a really, really good record. I like all their records. And I think that this would be a really, really cool little reunion to kind of honor Adam, even if they do like a tribute show, next year for like 5 years since Adam's passed. I think it'd be cool to get those 3 guys back together, even if they don't call themselves Fountains of Wayne, like if they would back Chris Collingwood on a record. So Fountains of Wayne will be one of my final choices here. The other one is not a band, but rather an artist who has not done anything since 2011. And for those that know me, they know that I love this man to death. I love his songwriting. I think he needs to put out a new record, a final record. It's not like he's been reclusive. He's done acting. I think he's done a couple of interviews. He was on David Letterman's final week of shows. And I'm talking about Tom Waits. Waits, again, Chris Profey just did a video. He was showing some CDs that he found, and he made a good suggestion that it would be cool if Waits comes back and hooks up with Rick Rubin to do like a Waits Rubin collaboration, which I think would be awesome because, again, Waits, as the 70s and 80s rolled along, got weirder and weirder, and even into like the 2000s, it had some crazy stuff. But how cool would it be to see him get back with Rubin and just do like another like piano record in his 70s? I think that would be really, really cool to see. I would take anything from Tom Waits. It's been far too long. I wouldn't think that he has tons of money because he was never like a Bob Dylan or a James Taylor songwriter. I mean, he did some pretty big theater shows, but he, again, never filling out Madison Square Garden. But I think it would be super sweet if Tom Waits came out with a record. It's been, again, far too long. 2011, which was the Bad As Me record, and then he did like the Glitter and Doom tour. So Tom Waits, if you're watching, come on out.
Of course he's watching.
Drink some Jack Daniels on stage one last time for the fans. Give us a tour, give us a record. We will love it. He is top of my bucket list to see live. And again, I don't know that it'll ever happen, but Tom Waits, come back to us. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
Nice choice, man. Damn.
Yep. Thank you.
Is it my turn now? Whose turn is it?
It's your turn.
It is you.
It's your
All
turn.
right, I got one more. So
Let's see it. Whip it out.
that's what Alex normally says. This has a slim chance of maybe happening because it's happened before.
Yeah.
I want to see Lindsey Buckingham get back with Fleetwood Mac.
Yep.
I love every version of Fleetwood Mac. I love Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. I love the Rumors era Fleetwood Mac. I even love the Dave Mason, Becca Bramlett, Billy Burnett Fleetwood Mac. I love the Fleetwood Mac with Mike Campbell and Neil Finn. I like all the Fleetwood Macs. I love Lindsey Buckingham. And it would have to be this lineup because this is the last official Fleetwood Mac album. This is without Christine McVie because this is when, after she left the band, she had this horrible fear of flying. It's before she got over that and reunited. I saw them on this tour. It's the only concert I ever went to with my dad. I surprised him with tickets to this because he was a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. And they were still awesome. Something about Lindsey and Stevie on stage, they got that tension, right? And they have such a history. They're both, Stevie Nicks, her voice has to be heard live. It's incredible. And Lindsey Buckingham is one of the most unique guitar players. And I'd love the Mac to get back together one more time. Unfortunately, it would be without Christine because she passed away. But man, they don't even have to record anything new. Just, I want to hear them sing Go Your Own Way and, Don't Stop and Dreams and all the hits. I've seen Fleetwood Mac twice. I would love to go see them again. So not like this is a big stretch. I mean, it could potentially happen. Mick has come out and said with Christine gone, Fleetwood Mac will never get back together, but you toured without her before. So I don't know. The band is in flux at the moment, and I don't know the state of the relationship between Lindsey and the rest of the band. I have no idea, but it would be nice if that would happen.
But like you said, it's happened and not happened and happened and not, it's been an on and off relationship forever, right?
Right. I mean, Fleetwood Mac isn't even a band at this point. To me, it's kind of like a musical collective where it's Mick Fleetwood and John McVie and a bunch of other people. I mean, there's been like 20 different lineups of Fleetwood Mac.
They are the namesake,
Right? So, and they weren't even the founders of the band, right? So, it'd be nice if it would happen one more time.
Rob, I thought for sure, and that's why I kind of held it back, that you might talk about these gentlemen.
Well, I have it here as a judge. Well, let's you and I talk about it then. You want to go first or want me to go?
Yeah, why don't you guys talk about it?
We're going to talk about it.
I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
It's the Eagles for those that couldn't tell. And obviously Glenn Frey passed in 2016, but they toured for their 50th. No, it would have been like their 40th, I guess.
No, maybe
Yeah. Or 45th, maybe. Anyway,
something like that.
Bernie Ledden, for one, is still alive and still seems to have an okay relationship with the guys because he played.
He did a few 2016, I think he did like
the history of the
shows.
Eagles tour. Yeah. He would come out and do like the early stuff with him and do like
Right.
Take It Easy and all that stuff. And he still has a relationship, but obviously to pull Don Felder in, who showed up. Was this the record that he showed up on? Was it on the border? Was that his first record?
Yeah.
And that's why I pulled this one because you have Ledden and Felder on this.
Right.
Again, him and Henley have a very strenuous relationship. But to get those two guys, because the Eagles are supposedly saying this is it on their tour, and obviously the only member original that you have is Henley, and then Walsh, Schmidt, and then you have Deacon Frey and Vince Gill filling in for Glenn. But to have Bernie come out there and play banjo on some of those early tracks, and then have Felder come out there and do like the Hotel California lead with Joe Walsh. I mean, what a way to finish out your career!
I would love that.
Get those guys back.
I mean, obviously Randy Meisner can't be there because he's dead.
Obviously, yeah.
And Glenn Frey can't be there because he's dead. But everyone else that's left, and everyone goes, Henley's the only original Eagle. Yeah, but the lineup changed so many times that everyone that's in the Eagles, except for Vince Gill and Deacon Frey, played on a studio album, whether it's Tim Schmidt playing on The Long Run or Bernie Leadon playing on or Bernie Leadon playing on the first. Jesus Christ.
Dude, it's bad.
It doesn't matter that Henley's the only original. Everyone contributed to the album discography. So yeah, it would be great.
Yes.
I would like to see anyone that's left. And Felder made such a huge contribution to that band.
Yeah.
And I would argue a bigger Joe Walsh is my guitar hero. But Joe Walsh didn't really write shit. He's written a handful of songs. Felder's contributed more original music to the Eagles than Joe Walsh ever did.
Yeah.
And it would be really nice, but it's never going to happen because Henley's the biggest a-hole, not in music, probably on the planet. It's never going to happen. But man, if it did, that would be fantastic.
Of course, Roy saw them in '75. If you didn't know,
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Eagles, Sam?
Just once?
No, they came to Charlottesville when I was in college, but it was like, I mean, I was a junior in college, and it was like $200 some for the nosebleeds. I said, "There's no way." Same for Fleetwood Mac. It was Fleetwood Mac with Christine came, and I was like,
Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles were two concerts that I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm going. And I saw the Eagles on Long Road Out of Eden. And that's obviously when Glenn was still alive. So, and they weren't cheap. I mean, we paid a lot of money, but I'm glad I did because they were incredible. But yeah, it'd be nice if that happened, but who knows? Never.
I mean, there were some other things. I mean, like Alex, you can bring this in some, AOR stuff. Like, I mean, obviously, Lou Graham with Foreigner. I mean, that's been a
Steve Perry with Journey.
Steve Perry's talking about coming back after a 30-year hiatus of touring, doing a tour, solo tour.
Yep.
And there were rumors, as Rob might know, about the Beach Boys doing something, which I think is just ridiculous.
Mike Love kind of started to let something slip on a TV interview, and he goes, "I can't talk about it."
It was a UK, because they have a documentary on Disney that comes out Friday.
Yeah,
and I watched an interview today. It was him and Al Jardine before they premiered the movie, and Brian and their other guys were in the stands, including Blondie Chaplin, and like there were talks that like they're gonna do a show with the guys that are left.
Really?
Which Mike has essentially said that like him and Brian are like doing something, which obviously Brian has dementia.
Right.
Mike said that he's still able to like, it's not full on dementia yet, that he's like pulling memories from like high school that Mike had forgotten about. And he said musically, like he still remembers chords and everything.
Right.
But like, it's like the short term but That would be really bad taste, I think, if you had a
Thanks.
Beach Boys show and they set Brian Wilson up there in his wheelchair, just staring.
Well,
Just to
and I was thinking about that because I mean, when I saw him, which was the same time you saw Brian on the Pet
16,
Sounds tour,
yeah.
it even felt like that then, right? Because
and he was able to walk off stage himself.
right, but he was kind of escorted on stage. He sat down. He played and he kind of
Would stop. Yeah.
he he probably shouldn't have been there. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, and I wonder if someone behind the scenes is maybe exploiting is not the right word, but milking that cow a little too much,
pushing when they shouldn't push.
Mhm.
And I had that thought another time when I saw Sixto Rodriguez in concert. The man's he's dead now, but almost blind, could barely walk. Someone helped him on stage. Someone helped him off stage. I met him very briefly after the show. And I just thought, is he wanting to do this at this point? Or are his people kind of, making him do this? And I sort of feel like if Mike's got something in the works, I kind of feel like that's kind of what they're doing to Brian. I don't know. I would hate for that to be the case, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. I got a few comments here. Where was I? Let's go right about here. All right, says there's 2 shows on the Doobie Brothers tours with the Eagles support. The Eagles supporting the Doobie Brothers? Wouldn't it be the other way around?
The other way around.
I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks who'd like to see Rick Rubin work with weights.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Buckingham Nicks album has never been re-released for some reason. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't think Nicks and Buckingham could, outside of Fleetwood Mac, can deal with any legality issues between each other. So
It's crazy. Like firsts of that record that's $100 record.
Yeah.
got one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great record. I love it. What's a junior? Good question.
Yeah, he caught.
The Jays won 9-2, so I guess the home run jacket worked.
Hell yeah.
The biggest problem with all these hypothetical possible situations is time. None of us are getting any younger. That's true,
Dang, sir.
unfortunately. Music Sanctuary. I saw the Rumors concert a week later. Saw the Eagles Hotel California concert plus reunion tour, and they sounded just as good
Jeez.
30 years later. That's the other thing about seeing the Eagles now. It's been proven that Henley at least is lip syncing some stuff. So
Yeah, there's some pre-recorded stuff.
yeah, I'd
That's so
rather
weird.
hear the vocal flaws, to be quite honest, so that
Absolutely.
I'm hearing a genuine
Well, again,
performance.
I kind of hinted at Kiss earlier. They did the same thing
Yeah,
in the last tour.
add some authenticity to it. I don't expect you to be perfect when you're 70 years old, for God's sakes. Walsh was brought in as solo work speaks volumes. Yeah, of course it does. I'm just saying the amount that he contributed to the Eagles catalog is not as much as Felder. But listen, Joe Walsh is my guitar hero. I love everything. I love the James Gang. I love his solo stuff. Barry Gibb with the Eagles? No, I don't think so. Saw the Eagles twice, Tim,
Cool.
2006 and 2022. I think 2006 is when I saw them too.
What?
Are you shitting me?
What?
But they threw you
Roy,
off
come on. You managed to play.
the congas.
I like how he's,
Down.
to me, the word is managed.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was like a crazy stalker that ran on stage.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
Whatever. That's
Good
freaking
God.
awesome.
At least, Roy, you could say you played with Santana at the Royal Albert Hall.
He
Not a lot
did
of people
better.
can say that.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Can't get over that. Buckingham Nicks is easily found here for 20 to easily found. It's not easily found here, man.
No, I can't
Oh, wow.
see that. I've never seen that out in a while.
I think there are two. There's the first, and then there's like an immediate.
Right. There's an original one.
And so yeah, I mean, but that's still like that. Like $100 versus like 50. I think
there's only one Canadian pressing though, because it was pressed in the U.S. and then when it was reissued in the U.S. was the first time it was pressed in Canada, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha.
I've never seen one for $20 or $30. So
Is that
if
Polydor?
I can't reach it. It's right over there. I'm not sure. I think
You can't get your ass up out the damn chair and get it, Rob. He says, I can't reach it. It's right there, sir.
Your chair has wheels.
Yeah.
listen here.
Just roll on over.
I don't need shit from you fellas. It's on Quality Records. There
Is
you go.
that a quality record? Ooh.
Quality
Well,
Records? Yeah.
Quality Records is an old pressing thing in Canada back in the day. It's not
Right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if
affiliated
that
at
is like a specific
all.
Canada thing then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. In the USA, it was apparently pressed on Anthem Records.
Mm.
Apparently,
Which is that's
Anthem.
a Canadian, isn't that a Canadian label?
Yeah. 'cause
this
of
this
Rush.
is a this
Is
is
a
a
Rush.
Canadian.
Right, okay.
I don't know.
Roy, give us some explanation here. Yeah, the stage at Royal Albert Hall often got mobbed in those days. When Hendrix played, they banned rock shows for a while. When I saw Hendrix, I thought Roy was going to say he played with Hendrix too. Good Lord.
He probably taught him.
He just had the
Probably.
match for Hendrix's guitar.
I managed to play the congas with Jimi Hendrix.
Did we hear about the Elton John fiasco in Kingston in 2009? No, I have no idea what that's
It
about.
was his wig.
I have no idea. Music Sanctuary says, I've seen it, I don't own it. Well, you buy it. You should. The last
Yeah,
was
buy
this
all of
past
them.
Record Store Day in the Fleetwood Mac band. Well, you should buy one. So
Oh, the
the
CD.
CD's 35. Who cares about this? Is not CDs.
Well,
This is
well, yeah,
records.
I mean, but 35 for a fucking CD is a lot of money.
Yeah, but we let you 1 year for your looks, Sam.
Anyways,
You
I got one
you
more
bring in
picture
the
of
female
boomers
audience.
out there.
All right, hold
Yeah,
on.
come on,
We'll-
Alex. Bring it. Bring
We'll
it.
make you
I
big
guess
again.
I got two more pics of the boomers out there. I got the
Go ahead, drop all over us.
well, this again is not necessarily a band reunion. The band's still going. They've gone through a lot of lineups. This is not a reunion of the original lineup, but more the classic lineup. And just kind of, again, just fascinating story. I mean, these guys could never get along. They broke up a million times. They're reunited a billion times. But now the guy is off doing some crazy medieval type weird shit all the time, which is bizarre. But I'm talking about giving me as close as we can to a Mark II reunion of Deep Purple.
Wow.
The only everybody's still here with the exception of John Lord on keyboards, piano, organ. Everybody else is still alive. We still have Ian, we still got Roger Glover, we still got Ian Pace, but Richie Blackmore, who I would make this argument, and if anybody's a Deep Purple fan out there, here's what's interesting. I mean, we hear about the greatest guitar players of classic rock, right? We always hear about Jimmy Page. We always hear about, Jimi Hendrix. We obviously the blues guys are always thrown in there, right? I think when you talk about the original sort of technician of the instrument, the guy who kind of brought in this idea of virtuosity that influenced so many people, to me, I think when you just talk about the pure technicality of playing the guitar, Richie Blackmore is the guy. But since the 90s, he has literally, so his thing now is Blackmore's Night, which is literally like a medieval, like classical, weird musical project with him and his wife. That's been going on for like 30 years now. And it's just a fascinating thing because it is so completely different than everything he's ever been. He is definitely sort of the anti-rock star in the sense of, being out in the open. I mean, there's always a problem. He always was having a ton of issues with Ian Gillan, so forth and so on. But, now they're 3 or so guitar players because it was Steve Morse for 30 years almost. Now it's Simon McBride, I think, all these different things. And it's like, dang, man, like it would never happen. If it would have happened, it would have been years ago. But having Richie Blackmore back and doing something in Deep Purple would just be, that would be crazy. Again, 80% of them are still alive. And of those 80%, like of the 80%, 3 of those 4 guys are still touring together. So that's my thing. And then just because, what are we doing here?
Clearly playing Lego. that Egon? That's Egon. No, I don't know.
You got nothing to say.
Okay, who's
Well,
the other one?
Continue.
Who's the other one?
because I just don't know why.
It was Egon.
I don't know why Jason didn't bring. I figured Jason would have brought it up again. Technically,
I
it's
wanted
not,
you to do it.
thank you. Technically, it's not a band reunion, but for crying out loud, not even crying out loud. Does anybody remember? Sam, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at all you hoes. For us, for our generation, man, it was really cool seeing Live 8.
I was a little young. That was 05.
When that was like 2005 or so.
I just said that. Yeah.
And I thought you said that you were 5. My apologies.
That was 5th
He
grade.
was.
And that was the only and last time we saw the genuine Pink Floyd fucking reunion.
Yep.
And that to me would have been the time that something could happen. Now we lost Rick Wright, and Rick Wright to me is one of the most underappreciated people
Dickie Dubs, yeah.
in history. But here's what's so fascinating about this now. All right, debate this, people. So we have the wall here. Is this the last? Okay, so I think a lot of people would look at the final cut as basically a glorified, unglorified Roger Waters solo record. You could look at this. You could look at the wall as kind of a Roger Waters project.
Yeah.
Is Animals the actual last truly Pink Floyd project? I mean, didn't Rick Wright get fired or sent away during this? They got people because this was Bob Ezrin. They got people on here that don't even play. They got studio people. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm showing it is just to make a ruckus. But my point is you have Roger Waters out there doing Pink Floyd stuff.
Nicky Mason.
Who knows what David Gilmour is going to do? He has said he doesn't want to do Pink Floyd stuff, but
He's got an album coming out in the fall.
who knows? But he's got a new record coming out. And you have Nick Mason out there playing Saucer Full of Secrets, playing tribute to the early days of Pink Floyd. Yep. And so what you have is 75% of the damn band who's out there playing their own renditions of all these Pink Floyd fucking songs.
Waters showed up to do Set Your Controls with Nick Mason a couple of years ago.
Oh, with Nick? I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Jesus. And again, I think it's like, yeah, I mean, the Live 8 would have been the time that would have been cool to happen. I apparently, and look, let's put the personal, like, who know if Roger Waters is fucking nuts. Like, let's put all that aside for a second. My understanding of this is that it's been David who's like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to get, like, I anti that for all of the things, which is funny because fucking David Gilmour has been owning the Pink Floyd name since 1983 and has done he's done 2 fucking albums in 40 years.
3 albums.
You're right. Yeah, 3 albums. I totally. I forgot about the Endless Butthole. Okay.
And then that single he did with Nick Mason.
Yeah. So anyways, so I digest, but the point is, yeah. I mean, again, would it ever happen? But it's just so fascinating. Like you just look at some of these bands that, you got Pink Floyd. You could argue is the biggest band in the fucking world, and 3 of those guys are still alive, and they're just looking at each other, playing tummy sticks, Shit.
That was equivalent to the Blue Jays rant from last week, the week before. Same intensity, same passion. Love it.
That's what we're all about here. Passion.
Oh, gosh.
Passion. All right. Let me round out a few comments here. Where are we? So when Tim was asking if we knew about Elton John fiasco in Kingston, he said he pushed his luck that night. Everyone who had front row tickets jumped up and mobbed the stage. When the band left and lights came on, people jumped on stage and started banging on his piano. So, Tim, did you bang on Elton John's piano? Because that's
did you tickle his ivories?
Oh, Jesus.
Hit those
Deep Purple with Richie was heavily rumored for that Power Trip festival, but it fell through.
Yeah.
You're right. Richie should be acknowledged more. He is equal to Jeff Beck, in Roy's opinion.
I'd agree.
Tim says, among the chaos, I'm guilty for jumping up and grabbing a pick that Davy Johnstone dropped among the chaos.
Cool.
But he didn't play Elton's piano.
He picked that Johnstone though.
There you go. Another great show, Deep Purple at the Roundhouse in 70. Me and a few other kids are on the back of the stage going nuts, dancing like wild men. Great memories.
Cool.
Roy, you've got nothing but great memories, man. We are envious of who you've got to see. Look who's here, Music Talk with John.
Wow.
Better late than never. We'll never see Walters and Gilmore on the same stage together again. Yeah. Anybody on the panel have Roger Waters' rendition of Dark Side of the Moon? If yes, what's their opinion?
Nah.
Never
Yeah.
got it.
I don't give Roger Waters money, but that's neither.
I've heard it. I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I'm saying it's like good. Like, I'm not going to go like choosing to listen to it. I mean, I'm a believer of the artist who is in charge of whatever they created. It is totally their place to do whatever they want with their art.
Mhm.
So for all the people who are like, I can't believe he would do that to that thing. Well, yeah, but it's fucking his.
He can do
Like,
whatever he wants.
let him do what he wants with it. Like, that's my thing.
Buy or don't buy it. Great TED Talk, Alex.
Thank you.
Someone grab Alex a beer.
Seriously.
A PBR. We're totally done with Hoop Tea now. Is that forever gone now? We're just straight
I still
PBR.
got some. Hoopty comes out when I'm feeling a real strong type of way.
Oh boy.
Summer's coming.
Hey, I'm on a 5-day weekend right now, fuckers. So, hey.
Ooh, boy.
Lots of content coming from Alex
There we go.
and on YouTube.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this up. We'll go around the horn as we always do. Let folks know if there's something that you've put out recently or that you're going to put out or, whatever you want to say. Sam, what's up?
Not much. I haven't put out a video in almost a week, and
You lazy bug.
don't see anything on the horizon. Although that's not true.
Don't turn into Jay.
Definitely within next week, because I'm seeing a concert on the 31st. It's a group called Trampled by Turtles. They're a really fast.
That is a fantastic name, Trampled by Turtles.
They're out of Duluth, I believe, Minnesota.
Love it.
They're fantastic. I've seen them. I saw them open for the Avett Brothers in 2019, and I saw part of their set at a festival in 2014. So me and a buddy of mine are going to see them. It's an outdoor thing, so I'll definitely have a review of that. I'll probably have more videos up between now and then. I just don't know what they are, but subscribe to my channel anyway.
Jason has nothing, but what do you want to say, Jay?
I should I just cleaned a bunch of records that I had bought over the last few months, and it reminded me that I could just easily do a vinyl finds video. So maybe next week I'll have something coming out for that.
Ooh.
Boy, setting the bar high.
Yeah.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to our boy Scott, DJ Vinyl
There he
Vertigo,
is. Hey,
for
Scott.
jumping,
Didn't
for,
see you
for
pop in
jumping
there.
in as soon as we leave. So
How you doing, man?
perfect timing as always, Scott. But good to see you anyway.
Hey, Scott.
Earlier than never.
Yeah, I mean, I got some things bopping around. Last week was sort of a concert week. I had 4 shows, or what was it? It was like 9 bands in 4 days or something. I don't know, however I did it. So instead of doing an individual concert review for each of those, I'll just do like kind of a big one. So that'll be coming up this weekend. And I just got I don't know how you guys are, but it's like I got like this running list of ideas that are like 75% thought out and
Yep.
completed, but that last
Yep.
25% is just a pain in my back ass,
Yep.
So
As opposed to your front ass.
well, listen, and my thing is like I should know by now, like, Alex, just do the fucking video, like just do the video. So there is like a good like 5 to 7 things out there that I'm just like, it's kind of thought out. It's just whatever, but it's just like I should just do the damn video. So yeah,
Do it.
Nice. I put out a video on Monday. I normally put out videos on Sunday, but I was sick as a dog. So I revisited my top 10 most expensive records according to Discogs. I did it like 2 years ago. And I was very clear at the start of the video that I hold no stock in what Discogs values are, and that I firmly believe a record is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. And I also said, I really don't care what Discogs values are. I'm not selling any of these. And I was very clear that this is just a fun exercise for shits and giggles. And I still had one individual roast me in the comments who go, I think you inflated the values. I didn't, man. I pulled the title up and it said the median value is this. I wrote the number right down. I didn't inflate shit. And you know what? It was a fun exercise. One person kind of ruined the experience for me. I wanted to delete the. He was not rude about it, but I'm just like, did you not fucking listen to what I said? It's a fun exercise for shits and giggles. Everybody does these from time to time. And it was a fun exercise because it had changed fairly significantly from what it was 2 years ago, which surprised me, to be quite honest. It was just fun. I don't care what they're worth. As I said multiple times in the video, I play all my records. I don't buy them because I'm worried that they're going to be worth something. You know, it was just a fun exercise. Fun video to make and hopefully a fun video to watch. And I don't know what next week's video is going to be, but I am starting work on my video that is my long in the works journey into Bruce Springsteen. So I'm
nice.
that's going to be a few weeks out from now. And I'm having someone, a Springsteen expert, appear on that video with me to sound off on what my thoughts were. So I think that might be an interesting topic.
Cool.
So
Can't wait for that
Interested
one.
to hear who that is.
it's well, I'll tell you who it is. Do you want me to tell you who it is?
Yeah.
It's going to be PC31, the vinyl policeman, the man who's traveled all over the world to see Springsteen.
He's
Wow.
That guy's fucking great.
I
Yeah.
love Mike. Mike and I have
Mike's-
done some stuff together before. He's a good friend of mine, so we talk a lot offline. So
He's the coolest.
he is
Absolutely.
he's the best. So when
And
I
he, and
said
he just saw the boss, what, 2 weeks ago?
yeah, so when I said I wanted to do this, I said you're the only. He goes, I'm in. So we're trying to connect on that, but I still got to do a little bit of prep work at a time. But I'm kind of excited about that because it's been, and shamefully, you know, as I've said before, it's taken me forever to get around to discovering his music. But man, has it been just an absolute joyous adventure without trying to sound too corny. It's been awesome. So I'm kind of looking forward to making that video. So.
I thought of you today, Rob, because I was in one of my locals, and they had Greetings from Asbury Park playing. They were spinning it. So
I just picked it up on Sunday.
So you did find it. Good. Okay.
Well, no. So here's what I did. Friday, Saturday, like I said, I was violently ill with the stomach flu. Like I didn't eat for 4.5 days.
Batting everywhere all the time.
Oh, like my butthole was like the girl in The Exorcist, just like it was just.
I'll see you boys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a call of the night right there.
I by Sunday I was just, you know, feeling terrible and feeling bad for myself, and you know, just it was not a good scene. But I was feeling a little bit better than my wife. So as my son's watching something and I'm on the couch just suffering, I'm like, let's get on the old Amazon. And I'm like, I need Asbury Park. And it was it was like $22. So I'm like, that's a great price for a record in Canada. So I bought that, and I also bought his new covers album.
Only the strong survive.
Only the Strong Survive, because it was like $24. I'm like, you know what? For a brand new record,
That's another one that Glenn hates.
Those are like US dollar prices.
I know, but it was Canadian, and they were here the next day. And to Amazon's credit, they took each one, put it in a heavy record mailer, put it in both the record mailers in a box, and then bubble wrap them. I'm going, Amazon? What the hell? I mean, crazy. So
Depends who's in the factory that day.
I guess. So I have listened to both of them. The covers album is okay. It looks fine. But I really liked Asbury Park. I see why people say it's different than the albums that came after. But I still like it in its own right. It's fun. So, yeah. There we go. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, we appreciate you spending a couple hours listening to us idiots ramble. So thank you very much. Everyone that tuned in, great to have you guys back. And we'll be back next week. Hopefully all of us or some of us or whatever. So thanks, everybody, for watching. I mean, probably everybody does, but please subscribe to Sam St. John, Jason Arsenault, and Alex at Beer and Vinyl. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Bye,
great
guys.
night.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Nah.